Every footballer gets injured. It's just part of the game. But what if every injury, no matter how minor it was, benched you for an entire year? Got a stub toe? 1 year out. Tight groin? 1 year out. Done your ACL? Still out for 1 year. I guess that one hasn't actually changed. But I've modified Football Manager, so every single injury does exactly that. Now the question is, with players dropping like flies, what happens to the world of football? So you join me on the opening day of the Premier League season, and we're about to explore football's most brutal alternative reality. Currently, if we look at the injury table for the Premier League, okay, across pre-season, clearly players have been affected by this already. Burnley, bless them, 12 players out at the moment. Man City also got 12 players out, including Ederson, the goalkeeper, already. What's happened to him then? Oh, he was playing international football over summer. He got injured and is now out for 8 to 12 months. It's going to be 12 months because every injury has been set to a minimum of 365 days. Wolves have managed to beat Nottingham Forest on the opening day of the season, but at what cost? Alessio Zerbin becomes the first player injured in a match in the Premier League. Oh, it's his debut as well, his debut for the team. He's joining permanently in a year's time as well. He's picked up a groin strain, and that now means he's expected to be out for 9 to 16 months. That really is very, very sad. Poor Malacia, by the way, he's just come back from an injury, and now he's got injured in his first game of the season against Palace, and he's out with pulled ankle ligaments for 9 to 15 months. Oh, dearie me. Oh, and there's two big injuries in the Spurs-Bournemouth game. Maddison's out and Evanilson in the 90th plus 4th minute of the game. That's tough. So obviously not a great start for those players at the start of this season. I don't know how prevalent injuries are going to be. My hypothesis is half the squad might get injured every season, but because it'll be staggered across the season, they won't lose too many players, and I think they should be able to keep a good squad going, but you never know, maybe I'm underestimating how many injuries teams get. And of course, these injuries apply to every single player and every single league around the world. Real Madrid, for example, already missing Vinny Jr. for a year, and they can't even replace him with Mbappe because he's also out for a while, so this could be a tricky season for Real Madrid. Right, I'm just simulating up to Christmas, but it's hilarious seeing all of these news stories come through about players being injured for at least 10 months. So far, the Premier League does not look too unfamiliar or weird, and I guess so far we've not had too many injuries just yet. Although saying that, Chelsea have got 31 injuries, and everyone here is like a key player pretty much. There's no one that's like an under 21 player here. There's barely any. And Chelsea are second in the table, I believe, so they're doing really well. Everton have only got 7 injuries. I mean, it's a huge gap to Arsenal with 15 injuries. I don't know what Everton are doing to keep their players so fit, but is it working? Kind of. They're 10th in the table. That's way higher than they actually should be, I suppose. We saw in La Liga that Real Madrid had lots of well, it doesn't matter, does it? They're missing Vinny Jr. and Mbappe, but they're still top of the table. Alaves, Elche, Getafe, there have got 7, 11, 12 injuries. So that is equal to Everton, but this is less than the teams in the Premier League. If we look at the other direction, 26 for Bilbao. Let's look at the Bundesliga, where Dortmund are currently top of the table, and Bayern Munich are down in 7th place, although they are only 5 points off the top. That's a mad league table, by the way. Look how close that is, from like 10th all the way up to 1st. It's 9 points in it. Freiburg are the most injured team in the league, only 21. Leipzig with 20. Flip it the other way around, 9, 10, 11, 11. Maybe the Premier League just have really bad physios. This league is giving me hope, though, that we're going to see quite a lot of upheaval across this video. I know it's quite early days still. We're only like 6 months or so into this experiment, but I'm excited to see what's going to happen by the end of the season and then in 5 years' time. But by the end of the season, it's Chelsea who lift the title. Despite being the most injured team in the Premier League, are they still the most injured team in the Premier League? They are. 40 injuries. How are they doing this? I mean, look at this team. It's absolutely decimated. I mean, if any team's going to survive this, it's Chelsea. They've got a million players, I suppose, but they are surviving on incredibly Reece James, the maybe most injury-prone player in the Chelsea squad, has somehow not got anything across this season. So after Chelsea, if we have to scroll down this, Brighton also have 40. 32, there's a good gap there to Man City with 32. So let's review the leagues that we've got then. Chelsea win the Premier League title, Burnley, Fulham, Coventry relegated. In La Liga, Madrid win the title ahead of Barcelona, Sevilla and Atletico, Espanyol, Athletic Bilbao. Wow, Athletic Bilbao going down. They're one of the teams in Spain that have never been relegated, I believe. So that's huge that they've gone down. And of course, with their inability to recruit outside of the Basque region, and this could actually be really terminal for them. AC Milan win the title in Italy, Udinese, Pisa and Parma all going down. In Germany, which was quite good fun, Bayern come back and win it. It's inevitable, isn't it? In France, PSG still dominate the title. What is happening with their team? Have they got loads of injuries? They do, although it doesn't quite seem as severe as other teams by looks of things. And it's still Celtic winning the title from Rangers in Scotland, although Rangers are very close to dropping into 3rd or 4th place there with Hearts and Hibs just behind them. I've got another prediction for this video. Now that we've seen just how many players are getting injured and obviously out for a long time, this is the death of the footballer as we know. No one is going to be any good in the future. Once players start retiring, the new players coming through are going to get injured all the time. They will not be able to improve. In the meantime, we've just got to 2029. It's 5 years in the future from the start of the video. Let's have a look at the European competitions. That's what I think could be really interesting. So in the Conference League, CS Maritimo have just beaten Jablonec in the final. So CS Maritimo Portugal, I believe, a Portuguese side there, which we've not got loaded into the game. So if we click into Portugal, we can't see any details there. And most of these teams are going to have like fringe, I say that actually, there's quite a lot of players playing for Benfica. It's not the best example there maybe. If we look at Maritimo's squad, for example, they've got one real player in there. The rest of them are all fake players because we've not got this league loaded. And that is going to be quite a big part of this video because they don't have to worry about spending wages on tons of injured players like we do in the loaded leagues. Essentially, these greyed out players are just fake players that are just there to fill the gaps in squads and make sure they've got 11 players that can start a game in continental competitions. But they get regenerated every single game. Obviously, looking through them, they're not very good, but in a world where every single player is out for a year with an injury, they don't need to be very good to win things. So that's why Maritimo of Portugal have just beaten Jablonec of the Czech Republic there to the title in the Conference League. Sparta Rotterdam, Demirspor from Turkey, Servet and Besiktas have all won titles. Servet and Maritimo both losing in finals as well, interestingly, so they're seemingly the best teams at the moment in those countries. Europa League, again, Portugal, Belgium and the Netherlands dominating that one. Unfortunate for Copenhagen, Slavia Prague, CSK Sofia, SK Rapid Vienna and Basel all losing there as well. But what about the Champions League? If this is as crazy as it seems so far, the Champions League could be really fun. Oh, okay. So Chelsea win it in 24-25, which is the first season of this simulation, and I guess all the usual suspects from the Champions League. Yes, they had players injured for years, but everyone was in the same boat there. It's the following years where the teams like, I say Benfica actually, we looked at their squad earlier and they've got tons of real players. So they just did really well. They're just playing tons of youth by looks of things. I'm guessing the same for... They beat Young Boys in the final, which obviously would never get their Young Boys, but again, they've got a few real players, but a lot of them are greyed out fake players. But like we said, because they can regenerate those random players every single game, they're not having to deal with injuries all the time. Which is probably why we've then seen RZ beat PSV Eindhoven in the final the year after that, Ajax beat Lask then, and then this past season FC Groningen have just beaten the Turkish side that I can't pronounce. This is much more fun than the usual Real Madrid, Man City, Real Madrid, PSG. Oh. But look how different the Premier League is now. So this really is actually completely random and kind of natural in a way, because obviously none of these teams are using fake players. They're all using real players because we've got them loaded, all the English leagues in this database. So incredibly, Leyton Orient have managed to come up from League One all the way to the Premier League legitimately. I guess they're just getting very lucky with players not being injured. Couldn't hack it in the Premier League, but they gave it a go. As you can see, they've got a team full of injuries, but this current ability column here is intriguing. If we sort it by current ability for the... What? The very best player has 112 current ability. Now, for those that don't know, Football Manager's current ability system is a little weird and complicated, but it goes out of 200 essentially, 200 being the very best and 0 being can't even kick a football. To be a Premier League player, a decent one at least, you need to be at least 140 current ability and upwards. Maybe you can get away with being like the mid-130s kind of thing, but to be a decent Premier League side, you need players 140 upwards probably. The fact that they're Leyton Orient's best player is 112 current ability, which ordinarily would make you a standard League One player, I would say, in Football Manager. And they've got to the Premier League with this, and he's the best player, by the way. Most players are way below that, which is more like League Two and, you know, when we get down below 100, you know, National League, non-league kind of level players here. How are they doing this? So who are we missing from the Premier League? Well, Man City aren't there for one. Arsenal aren't even there. Let's just drop into the Championship for a second, and look at the league table. So Man City are in the Championship. They've just been promoted second in the table, with Brighton in third, Port Vale winning the playoffs, with Brentford losing in the playoffs as well, Arsenal not even making the playoffs, and Everton being relegated to League One. What about Man City? Like, have they still got Erling Haaland? They've still got Erling Haaland in this team. He's the captain and key player. But the likes of Rodri and Phil Foden and maybe even Tchouaméni, who signed from Real Madrid here, have dropped a little bit in current ability, I would say. So maybe the injuries are affecting players' current ability and they're all starting to decline a little bit. If we sort by potential ability instead, Haaland's still the best, but they have produced this man called James Wilds, who's come through their youth intake. He's a regen centre-back. His potential is 182 though. But my thinking here is, if Haaland's only playing 50 games in 5 years, there's a good chance this guy maybe plays 50 games in 5 years as well. That is not enough game time or training time to be able to reach anywhere close to that potential ability. Currently right now, the Premier League is still the top league in Europe though in terms of reputation. So it's still the most popular league to be watching football in because it's still got the big teams and stars apparently. But as you can see, Newcastle champions, I guess that gets them a Champions League spot. Sunderland in second place. Oh, imagine that, by the way, a title race to the Tyne-Wear teams there. They get Champions League, and then Forest get a Europa League spot, as do Chelsea and Palace for winning the Cups. But only 5 teams are qualifying for Europe across the board now. This has changed a lot, so this suggests, obviously we've seen the Dutch dominating the Champions League, so they are the best team, or the best league in Europe I should say now, and they get 5 Champions League spots. Portugal, Turkey, Austria all up there. Belgium, Italy remain with 2 Champions League spots to the league phase, and then 1 in the league playoff round, the qualifying round essentially. So Italy staying the strongest so far. Spain are then second in terms of the big 5 that we're looking at before. England, and then Germany, and then France. France are just France, outside of PSG, there's not a whole lot going on there, so I can kind of expect them to be down there in 16th. But it doesn't actually look to be, I'm not a big enough fan of Italian football to know that, is this really wild? Inter in 11th is wild, I would say. Napoli in 14th is wild. I don't think any of it else looks too out of the ordinary. If we look in Spain, it's still Real Madrid and Barcelona top 2. I guess Alaves up in 4th is surprising, but Atletico down in 10th, surprising. It's not been as much change as England by looks of things. Germany was seeing a lot of change. Schalke win the title, Paderborn finish in 2nd place, Cologne in 3rd, Munster in 4th, and then Bayern in 5th. Dortmund relegated, Hanover relegated, Eintracht Frankfurt relegated. That's very much out of the ordinary. So maybe going forwards, we need to focus on the English leagues and the German leagues because this looks to be a lot more crazy because the detail level is turned up. So I left this simulating overnight to try and just get as far in the future as possible. And this is where we got up to. We got up to the 29th of May, 2038. So right at the end of season 14, actually. I'm going to do it. I'm going to look at the Premier League first. And Leicester have done it again. They've won the league title, although this time I suspect it might be less of a shock given the rest of the Premier League looks absolutely wild. Rochdale in 7th place, Stockport in 10th, Forest Green in 15th and Stevenage in 16th, ahead of Arsenal who get relegated. Oh, and how did I miss Accrington Stanley getting Europa Conference League football? Same as Chelsea, same as Manchester United. This suggests some real decline in Europe. And, oh my word, the league is now 23rd in European reputation rankings. People would more rather watch the Superliga in Romania than the Premier League. The past winners is also pretty crazy as well, actually. There's not actually too many out of the ordinary winners there. I guess Sheffield United, Bristol City, Sunderland, Rochdale, Bournemouth, West. Okay, maybe there's actually quite a few to be fair, but like Man City have won it, Leicester have won it, Arsenal have won it. But this is way more crazy than the suspensions that we did. Every yellow card or red card gives you a season-long suspension. This is way more crazy than this. Let's just look at Leicester City's team then. Sort it by current ability. No way. The best player is 115 current ability. They've got 2 players over 100. So this really does suggest that the injuries are hampering any player's ability to develop as a decent player. What's going on in the Championship? Liverpool win the title ahead of Carlisle and Leyton Orient. Everton obviously got back into the Championship at some point, but have been relegated again alongside Huddersfield and Tottenham Hotspur with a minus 120 goal difference. League One sees Aston Villa win the title ahead of Preston and Burnley winning the playoffs. Brighton leads Scarborough Athletic and Oxford City relegated from League One. And then in League Two, Crewe Alexandra win the title with Plymouth and Swansea being relegated to National League football. Right, Swansea. I want to see your senior squad here, sorted by current ability. it's not massively different in terms of ability to Leicester, who just won the Premier League title. Leicester have more players in sort of the 80 current ability range than Swansea, but it's typically in a normal Football Manager game with no shenanigans going on, you would see players of around 100 current ability here, maybe 105, something like that, and the team at the very top of the Premier League with like players of 160, maybe 170 kind of thing as the top players. There's really not a huge difference here between the two sides. Charlton Athletic might be the biggest losers from this video. They're 17th in the National League right now. If we just drop into the National League North and look at the league table, we are seeing no one else has dropped down quite as far. Maybe Grimsby from League 2 and Morecambe from League 2 potentially, but I think Charlton's a bigger drop. And what about the National League South? I want to see like a Premier League team here, but I don't think we're going to. Luton! Okay, Luton are the biggest losers here. Wow. And because there is such parity across the leagues in terms of players' current ability, the FA Cup is actually really fun. So Chelsea just won it. We know they are in the Premier League. They just came second. But they beat Port Vale in the final, who were also in the Premier League but finished 14th. So maybe that's not a good example there. Sheffield United just got they're at 11th in the Premier League, not relegated. Liverpool won the Championship, but they just won the Championship. So maybe it's not too unfair to say that. But in the quarterfinals, looking at the losing teams, Plymouth Parkway are in the Pitching In Southern Football League. That is that step 4 of the non-league pyramid, which essentially means it's the 8th division, I think. And they've got to the the FA Cup quarterfinals. It's quite telling when I search for Bundesliga that the Austrian Bundesliga is way above the German Bundesliga in the list of leagues. I mean, this is very, very different, isn't it? I'm not an expert in German football. If you're a German football fan, have a look at this. If we drop to the Zwei Bundesliga as well, still not seeing... Oh, Bayern Munich are there, and Dortmund are there as well, but teams like Eintracht Frankfurt, I think, are below her. Bayer Leverkusen are just about to go down as well, and then the three Liga. Here we're seeing Wolfsburg, Bochum. Champions League is all over the place, but Groningen have become the team, well, they were the team to beat. They haven't won it for quite a while now, to be fair, but Groningen the Dutch are all over this. Ajax, Vitesse with 3 as well, and they're beating Galatasaray and Besiktas and Konyaspor from Turkey all in the final. Really unlucky for the Turkish sides to keep losing these finals. They've not won a single one, but they've made at least 5 finals. No way. So this is a list of the 62,000 players in this database, and the very best player is Lucas Emmanuel, a goalkeeper in Saudi, who's got 167 current ability. Now, in a normal Football Manager database, that would put him in the top, 150, 200 players or so, like very elite. Nowhere near number 1, though. And the fact he is head and they're all goalkeepers, by the way. A goalkeeper's just not getting injured in this. The best outfield player here is also playing in Saudi, Thomas Batista here. Only 143 current ability. That would make you, in a normal game, a very mediocre Premier League footballer. So this idea that these players are never going to develop, it just rings true massively. The very best players in the world are, well, they're not really top flight quality in a normal game. Interestingly though, the World Cup does kind of seems immune to it, apart from the 2030 World Cup. I mean, Spain winning it, beating Germany in the final, yeah, that's not too unrealistic. Brazil beating Germany in the final, unless it is the 2014 World Cup, that is not unrealistic. Czechia beating Switzerland in the final is kind of out there, to be fair. But I thought we'd see a lot more craziness, if I'm honest with you. I mean, I was expecting Botswana to be world champions. So, this is a bit of a downer, actually, I must say. Although I have noticed something a little weird about these teams, actually. So if we click into Japan, for example, look at the national team, full of real players. There's a few fake players in there as well. If we sort it by, I say current ability, it already is, so it just shows how bad some of these players are that are being selected for the World Cup. If we click on Argentina, for example, and we look at their national team squad, there is a chance that there are so many injuries, they can only field 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actual real players to this World Cup squad. And everyone else is like a greyed out fake player. So this World Cup is likely going to be all over the place. Or not, because Brazil have beaten England in the final in extra time. With an injury for good measure as well. Of course there is. Oh, they only had 3 real players actually playing in the team, and they're all goalkeepers. Everyone else is a greyed out player, because England did not have enough fit players. Some interesting teams though from the round of 16 onwards, the likes of Costa Rica, Venezuela getting to the semi-finals, Czechia, who were the previous World Cup winners, are out in the round of 16, losing to Brazil actually. Not quite as exciting as I was expecting it to be though. I thought we'd see some real fireworks here. So I reckon overall this might have been a little bit on the extreme side by the end. Entertaining, yes, but quite extreme. We did a very similar video the other week though, where we made sure every time a player got a yellow card or a red card, they would get a season-long suspension. Despite the outcome of essentially being out for a season, the results were very different in that video. So to find out how different they were, the thumbnail is on the screen right now. Give it a click, give it a watch, and you can compare and contrast these results.